Howdy, howdy. Alright. We're up. We're live. I'm gonna alert the cavalry. Welcome, single viewer. How's it going? Just about to get started here. I had a burst of inspiration last night at 7 in the morning. How I wanted to proceed with this scene. So, I added a little bit of... yeah, there we go. Added a little bit of stuff I'm gonna go back over. I doubt my 7 in the morning writing is the best quality. Let's see. Already a big typo. But yeah, I have the direction I want to go. Add a little bit, I think, to what I wrote last night, last night. But then we should be good to go. It's not really gonna fit in there. We'll add it later. Welcome, new viewer. Hello. Can you see her? She's right there. Hey, Silent Willow. How's it going? Welcome to the stream. Just trying to meet up these two little pieces that I wrote right now. If you've not been here before, I have a little synopsis in my About section, but right now they're tracking down the sword that killed the main character's family. Yeah, so I have the synopsis right now. Yeah, so I'm kind of jumping around a little time-wise. He's kind of undercover in like this earthen like army. It's kind of like a fantasy army on Earth. He's kind of undercover there right now, but he's trying to figure out who killed his parents, and it is looking like it might be part of like someone from like the army that they're, or it might be someone from like the resistance. That's cool. I've never been, but I would love to, I guess. Most of my... Yeah, so the story is about, essentially, this, immortal, tyrant takes over the universe. So there's, like, Earth, and then there are a bunch of, like, other, like, smaller realms around Earth. And he takes over, like, the outer realms, and Earth's kind of like independent, but the main character is like his living reincarnation, and it's kind of his job to first liberate Earth and then to liberate the other realms. And so he's kind of been thrust into this. He's from like Judea, it's around Roman times, and he's kind of... So there's this tyrant, his name's Zeno, or the Ancestor. He was this deity who became evil, and he kind of defeated the creator in battle, and in a fit of rage took over all the magical world. And he's this evil tyrant. He had a bunch of kids who have special powers, and like the main character Mark is like 700 years later. He's like, yeah. So Zeno was born in Athens, and then he was a prophet who was like taken from Earth after like he grew old and was made into a deity, essentially. And so he was, I don't know the best way to put it. So essentially they're like different like classes of deities, and he's like a big prophet. So he's like kind of selected by the universe itself to be a prophet. So there are like oracles who are like smaller prophets, and then there are like other types of smaller prophets throughout, but then like occasionally there are these really big powerful prophets the universe itself selects. No, it's not Judeo-Christian. It's its own sort of theology, I guess. Yeah, so there are like roots throughout like Greek mythos and Judeo-Christian theology, but also like Norse, and so I kind of try and tie in all these different real world theologies together. Yeah, I've developed it pretty heavily. Essentially there's the creator of the universe, and then he has kind of like what I consider like viceroys, who are lords. yeah, it's definitely a hodgepodge, and so the lords are kind of like, I don't even know how to describe them. They're just kind of viceroys. They're his like second in command. And so Zeno, who is the prophet of a lord, who was selected by the universe, was made to be an additional lord. I mean, there are like elders who are kind of like legislative deities throughout the realms. There are kings who are governor type deities throughout the realms, because each realm is like independent but also part of the larger universe. It's a very complex government deity system. There are gods who are like, there are Greek, Roman, and Egyptian gods who are kind of the guardians of Earth a long time ago. And then there are angels, and so angels can range from people I make up to Judeo-Christian angels to like Norse gods aren't gods, they're technically angels. Mayan gods are angels, so different like pantheons that aren't part of like Greece, Rome, and Egypt. They take they are actually angels who are worshipped on Earth. I tried to structure it, so I kind of pieced together a bunch of different stories that I like came up with independently, and so part of it is structuring it. I studied government in university, and so that's like trying to structure it in a way that makes like sense from a governing standpoint almost. So you have a king. So there's the creator and the lords who are in charge of like the kingdom as a whole, but then each realm has its own king and group of elders who are their own, like they govern, like kind of like in the US we have states, and then the federal government, and so like the king or the creator and the lords are like in charge of like the federal government, and the kings and the elders are kind of in charge of like the states. I don't know how familiar you are with US government system, but it's kind of modeled off that in a sort of way, in terms of like just the federalist system. Yeah, so humans, so throughout the 10 realms there are like there are people, so they're mortal people, but Earth is special because its mortal people have humanity. So essentially this whole universe exists within this huge nothingness called oblivion, and oblivion is kind of like the big existential threat to the universe because it's always trying to destroy creation, and part of the way it does that is by infecting people with what's called the virus that essentially corrupts them. And so the 10 realms were created first, and people there were kind of became quickly corrupted by the virus over time. There were like outbreaks of it, and so when the creator made our world, the Earth world, the multi-realm, he kind of made it part of their like DNA essentially to be immune to it. Yeah, so for like smaller, like for just like mortals, the corruption would just kind of make them like evil and greedy and violent, and for deities to just become a lot more powerful on top of like the violence and the rage and anger, and essentially turns them against the creator and like what's considered the good in the world. So it turns them against creation, I guess would be the best way to put it. Yeah, so humans on Earth are immune to that. But like when Zeno, the prophet, became a lord, he lost that immunity, because he lost his humanity. And so Earth has become like, for billions of years, Earth was under the purview of the creator, but then after a bunch of cataclysms happened, in the other realms, the kings and the elders were like, hey, come back, stop focusing on the Earth world. The Earth was kind of abandoned. It was shattered, Pangea happened, all these different, like, things kind of wiped humanity for a little bit, but then it resurged, and it went through a couple cycles until it reached, like, kind of what we know as modern history. People, and so there were like there's this army on Earth called the Legion. There was a bunch of it used to be unified, but then there was a bunch of infighting after Earth was shattered and all that. And eventually the Baranians, which is like the precursors to Vedic India, kind of took the mantle as the primary legion. And so currently, like, so the ancestor Zeno had all these kids. They have special powers depending on which realm they're from, and then people from the Earth realm, his children there, have all the powers. They aren't quite as strong, but they can access all the powers of the different realms. And so currently the Legion is kind of corrupted by ancestral loyalists, people who support the ancestor in the realms. But the main character currently is trying to, like, defeat those people and reclaim the Legion for the creator. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of philosophical stuff, theological stuff that definitely is a little bit slippery, for sure. I try and balance it with a lot of foresight and care. Yeah, thanks for asking. It's 22 years of world building, so just trying to envelop it into a story. I'd previously written a book in the series in, like, high school, so. No, so Zeno is the one who's violent. So Zeno is, like, the main antagonist of this book. He is the one who was corrupted, and the good guys are trying to defeat the people who support Zeno to reclaim, like, the world for like the good guys. He's not a Greek god. I have a very narrow definition of what gods are. Yeah, the corruption comes from oblivion. So essentially, the world is made up of what's called the Codex. And it's kind of like the fabric of the universe. And because the Codex travels through oblivion between the realms, oblivion sometimes implants, like, the virus into it, which is, like, its kind of minion to destroy creation. And so it implants the virus into the Codex, which can reach people and corrupt them into becoming, like, a minion of oblivion and trying to fight creation. So gods are so there are three, like I said, there are three classifications of gods: the Greeks, the Romans, and the Egyptians. And they're essentially, like, when Earth was first created 7 billion years ago or whatever, there were three primary civilizations. And that's what the gods were there. They were kind of like the protectors of Earth. They were there to protect those three civilizations. And so, over time, Earth evolved, people died off, there's billions of years of time that passed. And so now they're a little bit less important after the ancestor took over. After Zeno took over, the ancestor and Zeno are the same person. But they're their own class of deity. Zeno, the ancestor, he was a mortal prophet who became what's called a lord, and a lord is its own like classification of deity. They're like the second most powerful form of immortal, second to the creator. Hope that kind of makes sense. It's very complex, for sure. There are just a lot of different types of deities. And so, like, gods I define very narrowly. But then there are different, like, there are lords, and then there are elders, and there are kings, and they're, like, different. They're all, like, deities in a broader sense. I've been building the world for a while. There were stories I made up when I was in third grade or in elementary school that like eventually became this world, and so it's just 20 years of coming up with different storylines and finding out what worked and narrowing, like filtering through kind of less mature, less workable stories into something that became kind of a unified universe, or kind of became like a more concrete universe in my mind. When I was like like a kid, I had like the Leopard League, which was like a super nation, and that eventually became like the Legion, and like I just piecing together different like stories I had in my head until it became something that was coherent. But this single universe probably became coherent probably 6 or 7 years ago, and I've been building it, building up from that framework since then. But it became like a coherent thing probably 6 or 7 years ago. But yeah, it's very, very dense epic fantasy. I try to make the stories quite as dense, like the writing, but in terms of world building, it's pretty dense and very built up. So I've written. This is the first book in the series I've envisioned, but I've previously written this book and the second book, but they weren't as fleshed out. They weren't as strong. I mean, I wrote them when I was in high school, and so my writing's like developed a lot from then. So what I'm doing is I'm essentially rewriting the first book, and then I'll be editing the second book and making them into better, more fleshed out pieces. Like, so what I'm doing the first book when I originally wrote it was a lot shorter. It covered a lot. So essentially, what I'm writing right now, I essentially skipped over this entire like 2-year period in like almost like a montage, which wasn't the best way of doing it. But now what I'm doing is I'm fleshing out that part into a more developed story, where I can work more on character development and stuff. And so I'm just rewriting the book from scratch. It was about 52,000, I think, 52 to 56, somewhere in that range. And then this one is, this one's 150,000, so I've already, tripled it almost. And it's got a lot more to go. It's going to have to be cut down for publication, especially if I don't publish anything before this. But I'll definitely have to trim it a lot. But yeah, it is absolutely becoming a fully fledged epic. This is the first book. I have like 14 ideas for different books in the series. So there's a lot of work to do, but this is like the first step in making it like a fully fledged epic. Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, I don't know how many books I'm going to end up writing. There are 10 that I think are critical, and then there are others that I think are important to the world but may not be as important to the plot. It's going to be figuring out what to write. Assuming I get it published, the publisher will probably have ideas for what stories to go through with and all that. But right now, as it stands, I have 14 books conceptualized. But we'll see if assuming I continue to write the story, which I hope I do. We're gonna see what I go through with and what I don't. Yeah, a lot. I mean, the third book. So the series takes place over. It takes place over the entirety of what we would consider the Common Era. So from the start of the Common Era so this is like 30 AD, 30 CE, and it's gonna end in like 2200 CE, or something like that. So in the future from where we are now. And so like this third book is going to be 200 years, and that itself, like this book and that book could be their own trilogies almost. And so it's going to be a lot, and I'm going to have to really figure out what's important when I go through editing and stuff. I hope I don't have to cut too much out, but I'm probably going to have to cut down the word count by a lot. I have a lot of lofty ideas. How about that? But yeah, thanks for asking. I enjoy talking about it. Yeah, 150,000 is already a lot. I mean, so I have some Brandon Sanderson stuff that I haven't read yet, but I'm going to read. And I mean, his opening work was 200,000, and his debut was 200,000. I'm just trying to read more fantasy to get a better picture of the genre. I've not read actually a whole lot. I've spent most of my time writing it, so I'm trying to just get a better sense of what's popular. But yeah, so his debut was 200,000. I'm at 150,000, and I'm maybe halfway through. Arguably, I think the first part's short. The second part, what I'm working on now, is long. The third part will probably be shorter, and then the fourth part will probably be somewhere in between. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot, like 300,000 maybe, which will be cut down in editing because nobody's gonna publish that. But yeah, I mean, I've not read any of his stuff yet. I have friends who enjoy him a lot, and so I know he's pretty popular among people. So I'm just gonna give his books a shot and just. I don't know. I need to get a better sense of the genre, I think. Not to change what I'm writing, but to kind of figure out my niche in it, I guess. To see where my story fits in among different stuff. I mean, I have Brandon Sanderson. The only two I have right now are Brandon Sanderson and Game of Thrones. But, I mean, they're stuff I just want to find my place in the genre, I guess. Do you write at all, or you just just a consumer. That's cool. What kind of stuff do you write? Yeah, I mean, I have the Song of Ice and Fire leather-bound set, and it's going to be... I'm not the fastest reader, which is one of the reasons I don't read a whole lot, but that's definitely another one on my list to chog through. Okay, yeah, I do. That's also what I do. It's like epic fantasy and alternative historical stuff. That's really cool. What's your world like? And tangentially, I just finished reading. Dante's Inferno, and I'm gonna read Paradiso and Purgatorio and Paradiso next, because yeah, that's definitely... I love a big fantasy world. I feel mine's up there in size, but I mean, it just... Yeah. That's one of the reasons I read Inferno, and I'm reading Dante right now, is because I came up with... So, in Earth's realm, there are other planets that are kind of like embassies to the other realms, and so I'm working on like the Hell planet map right now with my graphic designer, because I can't do graphic design myself. And I'm working on the Hell planet map, and I was kind of like, hey, I want to read, a more well-known conception of Hell. So I picked up Inferno, and I just finished that last night. So, just trying to, I mean, I have my concept of Hell fleshed out, but just to compare it to what exists and stuff. Yeah, take a look. Yeah, that's really good. My maps are completely different in style. Yeah, I mean, that's a true map right there. Mine are less geographically accurate, let's say. They're more... Yeah, that's really cool. I mean... Yeah. How many maps do you have right now? So, to compare, yeah, that makes sense. These are the maps I have currently created, or currently designed, and then I have maybe 4 more, I think, I want to say. So yeah, I mean, definitely, we obviously have very different map styles, but yeah, so in terms of like history that I have for them, each planet, so our universe, our realm was created 14 billion years ago. So I don't make my maps myself. I am not a graphic designer at all. I do photography, but in terms of like actually illustrating stuff, that's not something I'm good at. So I have a graphic designer who I've worked with in the past. When I first wrote this iteration of Origins, I had a cover for it. And so I've worked with him with this story a lot, and so I've used my graphic designer to make the maps. He's great. I really like the work that he and his team do. If you see my like Twitch logo, that's his work. That's a cutout from the original cover. But I assume he uses Photoshop and Illustrator probably. I couldn't tell you for sure though. He just kind of sends me what I give him the details, and he creates, and we go back and forth. But yeah, I mean, and I currently am not working on maps for the realm, so these are all like they're the realms and they're planets, and so I'm working on the maps for the planets just because they're a little bit less important to this story. I mean, I feel I want to have develop, like, I mean, I have ideas for the realms and I've developed them, but I want to be able to expand on them as I need to, and so I don't want to have like a concrete layout for each realm. If, you know, I come up, if I'm, you know, 3 books in and I'm like, hey, I want, you know, to add something for it. Okay, yeah. Photoshop is definitely the go-to. I'm use Photoshop for my photography all the time, so I'm very familiar with it. The OneNote, I've never met anyone. I mean, I've used OneNote for like school, but I've never met anyone who uses OneNote for their writing. That's actually a good idea. I know it's a great, like, I definitely enjoyed using it for like class notes, and I can definitely see that would be a good tool for writing. Okay, yeah. I mean, I obviously use Word. It's just, I don't know, it's simpler, but okay, yeah, I have Scrivener too. I've not used it a whole lot, but there's one tool that I've used. It's not like the best. Obviously, you're looking for like organizational stuff based on what the programs you've mentioned. I use Word just because it's a linear format or whatever. But there's one I've used. It's Writer. It's not like the best for like I find Writer is really good for like getting me to start writing. It has a lot of tools that it has a lot of tools that just, it has like music and stuff. Here, I'll go through and show you. It's very, I don't know, I like having a nice zen environment when I write, and this really does it, but it's not the best for like formatting and stuff. It's just kind of like you can write in it and then transfer that over to, you know, a place where you can format it better. Let me add the. It's just a generic background. I haven't. Oh yeah, this is just the generic Apple background. I didn't pick it out or anything. It's just what the default is. Here, I'm going to add Writer to my sound board real quick. Capturing. Yeah, so I'm going to have to switch scenes real quick in order to get it to work, but because Writer doesn't work on my big screen. Ooh, here, start writing. So yeah, and you can customize all of this. This heads up, I can't see your comments right now, but I'll take a peek. So you can choose different music. It has typing. Oh, I need to quit that. It has typing sounds you can choose from. You can choose different backgrounds. And so I've used this. This is what I use when like I've not when I've yeah, Writer is what I use when I like I'm struggling to start writing, and I'm kind of like in a dry spell, I guess, and it just helps me to get my mind in a better writing place, a better like kind of mode, Is it exclusive for Mac? I have no idea. Writer. Okay, it says it has a window. It does look like it's Mac exclusive, but it has a Windows port. So, I guess you can use it for Windows, but it requires like a separate thing to run it. But yeah, that's what I use. And then here you can see just technically two different languages. So I have, this is just kind of like a guide, a translation guide, and then I've made a font for the language so I can type it in the book. And then this is a second language that I've developed for a different part of the world. It's a little bit more mature. No, that's not part of Almwriter. That's a different thing. That's just like it's just like those are just PDFs I've made. And Almwriter is OMM, not OHM. Here, let me pull up the link for you. Here, drop this in chat. Yeah, so Almwriter is just that that background and sound and stuff. It's not a very complex software. It's kind of bare bones. Yeah, no, I suck. Like, I have dyslexia, which is a whole nother thing for why I struggle to read. But when I first, like, the first language I developed, which I still use, is like really, really bad. I mean, I'm not good at learning languages. I took French for 6 years, and I could never get a grasp on it. But like, so I kind of made that language so it would be something easier for me to work with. But as I've worked in the second language, that's become a lot more of a language than the previous one. It's more functional, I guess. It has its own grammar structure, whereas the first one doesn't really. This first one is essentially a way to spell things in English differently, but the second one is more of a language. But yeah, I doubt my language or anything. Like a professional or I mean, even like Token or somebody, their languages are going to be leagues better than anything I can come up with. I can't. It's hard for me to get grasps on multiple languages. It's just not something my brain's wired to do. But yeah, no. Yeah, I mean, I'm the same way for like maps and stuff. They're just not something I can create. Like, I can picture them, I guess, in my head, but I can't develop them at all. it's just not my it's just not my thing. But glad to be in good company there. Um, yeah, and I'm glad I keep finding different people who are also part of the writing community on Twitch, and I'm glad that it exists. It was kind of like a crapshoot for me. Like maybe that'll be a good way to get people to, you know, read my stuff, but also like more importantly to get me to motivated to write if I have like an audience and stuff. But I'm glad there's a community here. Definitely appreciate, you know, people dropping by. Um, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, sorry. RL, I don't know what that means. Um, oh, real life. Gotcha. Yeah, that that's obviously what RL means, isn't it? Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, it do be that way. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping, you know, the streaming works out okay, but we'll see. Right now, I mean, I started what, a week or two ago, so hopefully it can. Yeah, so yeah, no, I started a week or two ago. So I've done it pretty much every day since then. You sometimes during the day, but normally I'm on like it would be 9 or 11 p.m. to 1 or 2 a.m. my time. Uh, but okay, well, that's great. Uh, Congratulations. I'm glad to be noticed by one of the OGs. Um, yeah. Well, thank you for dropping by. It's you know, one of the original, like one of the original people to be on there. Just the letters OG. Um, yeah. Think it stands for like original gangster, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't stand for anything. um, but yeah, it's so far I found the community to be all right. I got raided yesterday for the first time, and I'm like, hey, that's nice. I should probably return the favor. Um, yeah, it's just I don't know. For so far, it's been a good experience, and the big thing is it's helped me to write more, to just get my head in the book a little bit. 'Cause that's a big thing for me. Is I just you know I struggle to get the motivation. Um, a lot of times for me, it's like you know I go like 1 month where I'm like who really into writing, and then like I go 3 months where I can't get my head in the game, and so I'm hoping this provides a more consistent motivation for it, and you know maybe you know I'll make money off of it. I doubt I will, but you know it at least has that option to provide something potentially. You know, maybe one person subscribes to me, but you know, no, I don't expect to, but I have friends who follow me, so like maybe they'll drop a subscription or something. Yeah, it's definitely a small niche for sure. It's not, yeah, it's not something I expect to blow up or anything. I also have, like, I stream on YouTube and then on my Facebook page too, to try and build a little bit more of an audience, but it's not something that, yeah, it's not something I have, like, I expect to, like, become super prolific. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I spent, what, $50 on a audio platform that worked because the one I used to use isn't developed anymore. So, and then another 50 on a subscription to a audio service so I can have the music in the background while I write. The music that is allowed to be streamed, because usually when I write I just use like Spotify playlists, but obviously you can't stream that music, so I have a different thing in the background for the stream. So yeah, I don't expect to be making money off of it or anything, but I have a different job that I work part-time, so that is that's my income. But yeah, this is just a nice side hustle that's low on the hustle and big on the side. So right now I'm just doing like food delivery. I started it like a couple of days ago. Before I was working a really, really shitty job. Essentially state rental assistance programs, and it was really mismanaged, and it was a very toxic work environment. So I left that last week. I was only there for like 4 weeks, but it was not something that was good for me or my mental health. It was a really, really bad environment and just terribly managed. So I left that, and now I'm just doing food delivery. Something that I can, have a better schedule, have my own schedule, and work when I want to work, which at this point is what I need. I'm not gonna, or I'll need something part-time and more flexible because I'm going to grad school in the fall. But so just, I'm not looking for anything super committal right now. But yeah, the food delivery's been good. So my hope was to study creative writing. I didn't have any luck getting into programs for that, so I'm probably going to do econ for a year, economics, that was what I studied in undergrad, that and government. So yeah, it's really hard to get into programs. I mean, it really is winning the lottery. Most programs are like 5 people. It's like 5 people in 1,000 applicants, and especially like this year, apparently it's a lot harder to get in because of the pandemic has just made grad school a lot harder. Yeah, so even it's not a commentary on how good you are as a writer. It's just super duper competitive. And I think maybe my applications weren't the best. I think there are things I could improve in terms of like writing samples and personal statements, but I'm hoping I'll do economics for a year, and then hopefully while I'm at school studying economics, I can work with the creative writing department, build kind of a rapport with the professors, and maybe that'll help me have a better chance of getting in. And at the very least, I have more time to write and come up with better stories and stuff that might give me a better shot next year when competition is a little bit less. So it's my goal. I still have a couple schools I have to hear back from, but it's not like any of them are going to be any different, nor are they schools that are high on my list. So, but yeah, I mean, I applied to 30 places and I didn't get into a single one for creative writing, so hopefully next year will be better. Thank you. It's I need it for sure. Thank you for the well wishes. So besides writing, what do you do? Okay, yeah. That's a good way to keep, writing fresh when you don't have time to work on your own projects. So yeah, that's a good route for sure. Do you enjoy it? Hey, Aranoid, thanks for the follow. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, that's that's good. The money is definitely a big part of it. But yeah, I mean, if you don't enjoy what you do, that can make it tough. But that's a hard balance. I'm at the very beginning of my career, obviously, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, it's good that you're making comfortable money, but yeah, it's hard. Like, I had the temp job that sucked. When you're in an industry for so long, I got to imagine that it's tough when you stop enjoying it. I'm hoping to eventually be able to support myself off writing, but that's a hard goal to get to set. That's why I'm studying econ. Just gives me something I'm also interested in to support me while I write, and hopefully reach a point where I'm a sustainable author. But again, it's a hard market to be in. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm hoping that, if I get a degree in creative writing, maybe I could be like a professor, because but even that's a crapshoot. There's a lot of supply and not enough demand for creative writing professors. So, I'm really looking for the degree, the MFA, for the experience of getting it. You can build connections and stuff, and there are some career pathways, but for me, it's really about, developing my writing. I had good experiences, and I benefited a lot from my undergrad creative writing classes, and so I'm hoping to continue that full time. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I have to start reading more, and that'll definitely help me learn, and just getting my head focused on writing whenever I can, to develop my own stuff. So, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that definitely makes sense. For me, I don't know. I work really well in an academic setting. That's just kind of where I thrive, I guess, and so that's why I'd want to pursue it. It just suits me personally, but obviously, I mean, it's not for everybody, and it is not worth it for a lot of people. The outcomes are not going to be what you want, and so I'm trying to go into that with low expectations for career opportunities and higher expectations just for the experience. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I definitely watch a lot of TV and movies and stuff, but I mean, I can tell, how that's impacted my writing. Okay. I don't know if I can make that commitment, to be honest. TV and movies are, yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know if I can stop writing it entirely, but definitely cut down on it and focus more on reading. Yeah, I mean, I like to be focused on, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I ideally like to be focused on my own future and stuff, but it is definitely a hard choice to make, and it can be tough, and it's not a balance that's easily made. Yeah, yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, and I still have a lot of growth to see through my writing. I've grown a lot from high school, but still have a long ways to go. Yeah, I mean, just keep working, I guess. Keep reading for sure. Just do what I can to focus on what I want to do. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough career path, and I mean, I know I'm not even at the start of it yet, so I'm barely a hobbyist, so. Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I didn't read for most of undergrad outside of, required readings, just time and all of that. But it's something I'm absolutely trying to get more into, because I know how vital it is for developing your writing. So just It's a huge part of it. I'm very aware. It's just, I don't know. It's been tough for me to commit to reading stuff because it can be a struggle, but I'm definitely trying to get back into it because I know I need to. Thank you, Rose Lestrange, for the follow. I appreciate it. Guys, every follow counts, but, you know, thank you all for stopping by, for watching and stuff. It means a lot. Yeah, I mean, you know, I want to be the best author I can be. It is what I want to do. So, I really have to, you know, commit, I guess. I mean, it's just tough when, especially when, you know, it's not like I'm going to make a lot of money if I go full speed into writing, and so that's why I'm trying to balance out like econ and stuff, but it is something, and I mean, all my advisors have said the same thing too. Just, you know, I have to eventually decide what I'm going to do, and I really want to decide that I want to write, but yeah, for sure. I appreciate the advice. It's definitely helpful. It's all, yeah, it really puts a lens on things. I'll say one thing about the MFA programs that's nice, or at least the ones that I'm interested in, is most of them are fully funded. So it's not going to be any expense, minus like cost of living and stuff. But that's a big benefit of the programs I'm looking at. It helps so you can focus on focus more on the product and on the writing than on, you know, trying to survive while doing it. Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna try and write a little bit more, I think, but I'll see you soon, I suppose. Okay, welcome back. I'll probably not be writing too much longer right now. Just trying to meet up these two parts and then clean up what I wrote here last night. But yeah, definitely welcome back. I've appreciated talking with you. It's been great conversation. Great advice too, for sure. For sure, yeah. No, I've appreciated it. Absolutely. Cleonis of this. Let me double check. What are we doing? Nodded too much. Alrighty. I think I'm going to wrap up for right now. Probably be on later tonight. But yeah, thank you all for joining. Silent Willow, if you're still here, thanks for all the advice. I really appreciate it. It's great to, see all the fellow authors on Twitch and to hear from all of you. So, alright. See y'all around. And I think I should probably raid somebody. So, oh, Jared. So quiet and only here commenting now that, I'm leaving. Such a shame. Where is Twitch? How do I raid channel? Okay, let's see how to do this. I've never raided before. Okay, I think this fellow works. So, yeah. I'll see you around, and, if any of you come on later tonight, I'll see you then. Bye-bye.